The ocean's depths are darker and more terrifying than we can imagine. In this recap of Monsters of the Deep, we're uncovering deadly predators, ancient legends, and the secrets that lurk beneath. Fucking spoiler ahead. Somewhere in the ocean, a giant creature approaches a fishing boat, while a woman takes a shower inside but still wearing perfect makeup. Suddenly, the monster launches its tentacles at the crew, that causing massive destruction and tossing people into the air. The creature destroys the shower room, forcing the woman to run outside, while the others are torn apart by the raging beast. As the boat begins sinking, the woman jumps into the ocean with her seemingly indestructible bathrobe, but is quickly devoured by the monster, as the vessel vanishes beneath the waves. Then, 3 years later, a black box resurfaces near another shipping boat, and the sailors, unaware of the danger, bring it aboard. A young boy named June sees this and informs his sister Belle, who's guarding a precious gem. Then they rush to the scene, only to find the crew attempting to eat the octopus-like creature as if it was sushi. However, the monster suddenly launches itself into a sailor's mouth, causing him to choke violently, and the others try to help, but they can only watch in horror as tentacles burst from the victim's mouth, sending them fleeing in terror. Then Belle tries to save the man by pulling away the tentacles, but ends up getting attacked instead. She falls to the ground as the monster's tentacles invade her mouth, altering her DNA with a grotesque transformation. Meanwhile, in a nearby city, the main character Zhang runs a food stand and struggles to pay his bills. His brother-in-law Lao believes they can soon change their fortunes, unaware of the monstrous threat that is rapidly approaching. After this, Zhang and Lao enter a sushi restaurant where Zhang only seems concerned about feeding his daughter. Then Lao reveals a high-paying job that requires Zhang's extensive military experience. Hearing this, the main character doubts that it might be illegal. Their conversation is quickly interrupted by the daughter's severe coughing, here revealing that she has a serious illness. With no other choice, they rush to a nearby hospital, triggering Zhang's flashbacks of his wife. He recalls how during an argument about their financial struggles, he crashed into an oncoming truck, leading to his wife's tragic death. Realizing he can't lose his daughter too, so Zhang reluctantly agrees to Lao's job offer. Meanwhile, on the boat with the octopus monster, June has survived alongside the ship's captain. Driven by anger, the captain decides to confront the creature for killing his crew. He charges into the kitchen and finds the monster, managing to slice off one of its tentacles. However, the creature quickly retaliates, overpowering the captain and dragging him across the floor. Realizing he's outmatched, the captain tries to flee but is seized again. Spotting June behind a door, the captain shouts for the boy to escape and sacrificing himself for June. At the same time, Belle regains consciousness and stumbles toward a cargo container, trying to hide inside a safe. However, she's clearly suffering from the aftermath of her encounter with the monster. To her horror, she realizes something is very wrong with her body. The creature has left something inside her stomach, lurking and waiting for her to emerge. On the other side, Zhang heads to his new job, accompanied by a group of terrorists, and they are hired by Lao. However, he soon notices boxes of weapons on the boat, making him furious as he realizes Lao's true plan was an armed robbery. It's revealed that Lao is targeting the expensive gem on Belle's boat. Despite Zhang's anger and refusal to commit a crime, then Lao reminds him that this is the only way to get enough money for his daughter's surgery. This leaving Zhang with an impossible choice. Then Zhang reluctantly follows Lao and the terrorists as they navigate through an area filled with mysterious fog, eventually reaching their targeted boat. However, they're unable to contact anyone on board using their radios. With no other choice, they climb onto the ship armed like pirates, planning to seize control by force. To their surprise, the boat appears completely abandoned. After this, they cautiously moving through the hallways, the team is shocked to find large amounts of blood on the floor, indicating that something violent has happened recently. Unbeknownst to them, the tentacle monster is already aware of their presence. It stealthily approaches the mercenary guards outside, terrifying one of them so badly that he falls backward. The other guard, initially unaware of the danger, he soon notices his friend is missing. As he investigates, he's horrified to discover a massive tentacle much larger than he expected. Then, he tries to flee, but is quickly captured and strangled to death by the monstrous creature. Meanwhile, Lao decides to split up with Zhang to cover more ground. But, at the same time, Belle emerges from the cargo container and immediately hears the mercenaries approaching. So she hides behind a wall but is quickly discovered and held at gunpoint, with the mercenaries demanding the location of the precious gem. With no other choice, Belle agrees to lead them to the cargo container, but claims that the password card needed to open it is inside the navigation room. Her desperate attempt to buy time sets the stage for a tense standoff, as the mercenaries have no idea about the lurking danger that could strike at any moment. So the mercenaries force Belle to the second floor, rushing through doors and searching every cabinet for the password card she mentioned. However, they find nothing, quickly realizing that Belle has been lying to them. Frustrated, they threaten her again, but their tense exchange is interrupted by a loud noise coming from a metal container on the floor. Then Lau decides to open the container, only to discover that Belle's younger brother June has survived. Seizing the opportunity, the mercenaries take the boy hostage, using him as leverage to force Belle into helping them steal the precious gem. With no other choice, Belle is compelled to cooperate despite the danger lurking on the ship. Meanwhile, Zhang and his team arrive at the ship's kitchen, finding even more of the strange sticky liquid scattered around. Before they can investigate further, their boss orders them to return to the navigation room immediately. However, as they prepare to leave, they sense something is terribly wrong. Suddenly, a massive tentacle lined with teeth appears behind one of the men, dragging him violently up towards the ceiling. This horrifying sight causes the team to open fire immediately, but the monster swiftly avoids the bullets and retreating into the air vents while preparing to ambush them from behind. But luckily, Zhang manages to fend off the creature temporarily using a flame torch, that buying enough time for the team to make a desperate dash for safety. However, as they try to escape, they quickly realize that the monster has already circled around and is waiting for them on the other side. With no escape in sight, the team is forced to back away slowly, hoping to hide from the flesh-eating tentacle. But the monstrous creature is relentless, probing every corner of the room with its terrifying appendages. Then, the sheer horror of the situation soon overwhelms the team, causing them to panic and alert the monster to their presence, leaving them no choice but to flee in terror. But one of the heavier mercenaries struggles to keep up with the group due to poor cardio, then quickly falling behind and desperately begging for help. Unfortunately, he is snatched away by the monstrous tentacle, dragged off like a giant human hamburger. This horrifying distraction gives the rest of the team just enough time to slam a door shut. The survivors manage to regroup with the others and immediately recounting the terrifying encounter with the monster. However, Lau is skeptical, finding their story too absurd to believe, even as Belle confirms the existence of the giant sea creature. Before they can argue further, a loud noise from the windows interrupts them, causing everyone to turn in shock. After that, they see even more massive tentacles outside, completely surrounding the room from all sides. It's quickly revealed that the gigantic octopus is perched directly above them. Before anyone can react, a tentacle smashes through a window, lashing out violently and killing several people in a gruesome fashion. In fear, the survivors open fire with everything they have, desperately trying to fend off the monster. However, the bullets prove almost useless against the thick hide of the sea creature. Just as all hope seems lost, then Zhang grabs a flare gun and fires directly into the monster's open mouth. The burning flare momentarily forces the beast to recoil, giving the survivors a brief chance to escape. In the chaos of fleeing down the stairs, the young boy, June, accidentally slips and falls between the metal grates. This leaves the group vulnerable as the tentacle monster quickly reappears, looming menacingly behind them. Surprisingly, the creature hesitates to attack Belle, who has been infected by its DNA, as if recognizing her as one of its own. Seizing the opportunity, Zhang grabs an axe and charges forward with a furious strike, hacking at the monster's tentacles and forcing it to retreat temporarily. This courageous act buys the survivors just enough time to make their escape, and rushing desperately away from the nightmarish creature. The survivors eventually catch up with the escaping mercenaries and make their way to the cargo area. However, instead of fleeing immediately, Lau demands that Belle open the safe containing the precious stone, refusing to leave empty-handed. Zhang tries to intervene, but he's quickly forced back at gunpoint by the other mercenaries. With no other option, Belle reluctantly agrees and leads them to the gem's location. The mercenaries finally manage to retrieve the valuable object, but their victory is short-lived. They are suddenly interrupted by a horrifying sight, but numerous humans kneeling on the ground with strange objects in their mouths. It becomes terrifyingly clear that the octopus monster has been using them to incubate its offspring. Belle, realizing what this means, is struck by the horrifying thought that she might be pregnant with the creature's spawn as well, after her previous encounter. But before anyone can process this nightmare, Lau is violently attacked by the monster from behind. The mercenaries immediately open fire in panic, but their bullets only serve to enrage the gigantic sea creature further. In its fury, the monster hurls Lau against the wall, causing him to drop the gem. With the situation rapidly deteriorating, the mercenaries have no choice but to retreat, barely managing to escape through the doors. Seeing no other option, Zhang sprints into the cargo box alongside his friends, only to realize that the monster has no intention of leaving the area. So the group decides to hide inside the container temporarily. During this tense pause, Belle uses parts of her clothing to bandage Zhang's injuries, causing a moment of awkward closeness between them. She seems ready to take things further, but Zhang quickly declines, revealing that he already has a daughter and refuses to add to his child's support problems. Their uneasy conversation is abruptly cut off by the mercenaries' voices crackling through the radio. Then Lau promises to send help, but also orders Zhang to retrieve the diamond. With little choice, the mercenaries launch a desperate attack to distract the monster, creating just enough chaos for Zhang to snatch the gem and make a break for it, as Zhang rushes to escape the deadly scene. While the survivors desperately try to hold back the monstrous octopus, then Zhang quickly grabs a gas container and throws it directly at the creature. Seizing the opportunity, his brother fires at the canister. That's causing a massive explosion that temporarily drives the monster back. This chaos finally gives the group a chance to escape as they rush into another room and quickly lock the door behind them. However, their relief is short-lived when they discover that the only other exit has been locked as well. Then things take a turn for the worse when Belle begins hearing the ominous sounds of the tentacle monster, which is now furiously pounding against the door, eager to get inside. Realizing the imminent danger, Zhang quickly finds an alternative escape route through the venting system on the ceiling. He urges the others to flee while he holds back the vicious creature. The survivors waste no time and climb into the ventilation shafts, crawling hurriedly through the narrow passage. Belle, glancing back, is relieved to see that Zhang has also managed to make it inside. However, their sense of safety quickly crumbles when they hear the metal door being ripped open behind them. The massive tentacle forces its way into the venting system, intent on hunting them down. Then, sensing the danger, the survivors try to move as quietly as possible, hoping to avoid drawing the creature's attention. But their caution proves futile as the monster suddenly bursts into the vents, causing the mercenaries to panic and flee like terrified animals. Then Belle, seeing the chaos unfold, grabs her brother and turns in the opposite direction. But unfortunately, their escape is abruptly cut off when the rampaging monster collapses part of the crawl space that's completely blocking the path between them and Zhang. Then, separated from the main character, Belle and her brother are left to face the terrifying creature alone, with no clear way out. With no other choice, Zhang is forced to move forward, eventually catching up to the other mercenaries as they rush outside the boat. Meanwhile, the mercenaries manage to reach their own boat, and Lau immediately orders them to escape the area. But Zhang, refusing to give up, and turns back towards the transport vessel, only to witness his brother's boat leaving him behind without a second thought. But here we got a twist. Lau mercenary allies have their own plans. Then, seizing the opportunity, they betray him, striking him on the head and stealing the precious diamond. However, Lau proves to be tougher than expected. Instead of surrendering, he retaliates fiercely, managing to overpower the traitors and reclaim the gem. Desperate to escape, Lau rushes outside, but the mercenaries continue their assault relentlessly. In a brutal struggle, Lau stabs one of the traitors in the chest and kicks him away, only to be confronted by another mercenary who plunges a knife into him. Despite his injuries, Lau fights back with sheer determination, eventually overpowering and strangling his attacker to death. Exhausted and bleeding out, Lau collapses and succumbs to his wounds, dying amidst the bodies of his treacherous companions. At the same time, Belle and her brother finally manage to escape from the ventilation system, but things are far from safe. Then Belle quickly begins to feel unwell as her body starts to change unnaturally, indicating that the monster's influence is causing her physiology to mutate. What's even worse is that Belle, now feeling increasingly unwell, eventually grabs a kitchen knife and approaches her brother slowly, almost like a walking zombie. However, it turns out that she's only trying to arm herself to protect them both from the tentacle monster. Unbeknownst to them, the creature is rapidly closing in on their location. But fortunately, Zhang manages to find them just in time, and Belle embraces him right away. Before the survivors can leave the area, they stumble upon a black box that had surfaced alongside the monster. Hoping to uncover the truth, so Zhang decides to play the video stored inside the device. It's quickly revealed that the giant octopus was actually a failed experiment from a secret laboratory where scientists had lost control of these monstrous creations. The footage implies that there could be many more of these creatures lurking in the ocean's depths. Horrified by this revelation, the survivors realize that they must escape immediately. Then they make a desperate run towards the outside, but the monster soon catches up and violently knocking Zhang aside like a rag doll. Seeing this, Belle charges at the giant creature, stabbing it furiously before sprinting towards the lifeboats in a bid to escape. However, Zhang stops her, insisting that she must take care of his daughter. He lowers the lifeboat towards the ocean, preparing to face the monster alone. Determined to protect his friends, Zhang begins luring the creature away, narrowly dodging its deadly attacks as the massive tentacles lash out violently. In a final, desperate attempt, he leaps off the boat with the giant sea monster in pursuit and eventually landing in the ocean. The creature, relentless and furious, dives in after him, but creature now heading directly towards the escaping lifeboat. Realizing the imminent danger to his friends, Zhang makes a bold decision. He taunts the monster, firing his gun directly at its head to draw its attention, and enraged, the creature charges at him instead, unaware that Zhang is planning to sacrifice himself. With grim determination, Zhang arms the dynamites he had been carrying and swims directly towards the monster's gigantic jaws. In a final act of heroism, Zhang triggers the explosives just as the creature swallows him, causing a massive underwater explosion that obliterates the sea monster into countless pieces. The shockwave from the blast rocks the lifeboat, but it ultimately allows the survivors to escape the area safely. However, just when it seems like they might finally be out of danger, then June notices something horrifying. He watches in shock as his sister, Belle, begins to transform right before his eyes, her body mutating grotesquely due to the monster's influence. So what do you guys think about this movie? Let me know in the comments, and if you like this video, please give a like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in this amazing video.